Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast. Steve, Ramona.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I am so thrilled to have you join us today. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the idea of doing business and living life with a purpose, serving others, and yes, achieving success. We believe when we approach our work and our lives with a servant's heart, we can truly make a difference. Boy, my guest is going to show you how she's made a difference. You're going to be blown away. We also created this show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated to make an impact in your world. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a community leader, highly successful business owner, or simply someone looking to bring purpose to your daily life, this podcast is here to support you. And I want you to think about, while you're listening to this incredible guest, how you're going to serve today and what impact you'll create today. And the key is today. Let's not wait till tomorrow to make an impact in somebody's life. Today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsor, Pantheon Alliance. Imagine you're a high income earning, highly successful business entrepreneur or owner and connecting with other highly successful business owners to grow your network and also to build events and grow all kinds of different things. That's what the Pantheon Alliance does. It's a referral marketplace for people that want to grow, scale, and help others. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at any time and I'll get more information for you. With that being said, I want to welcome Amy to our show.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be on, Steve.
Well, we talked before the show. You've got so much to share and an incredible story. And I thank you again for being on. You talk about letter writing. What's the one rule about letter writing?
Well, the number one rule, Steve, about letter writing is there are no rules. You cannot mess letter writing up. You know, all you really need, I think part of my story that is off-putting is that I was a writer coming into my letter writing story, but I think it's a misnomer that you have to be a writer to be a letter writer. I think all you have to be is a human being with a heart and a pen to successfully write letters.
What's the success, letter writing success campaign look like?
I think it has to be shaped. My story is crazy. I wrote a whole bunch of letters and it's nutso. So I think it has to fit into your business or your life, you know, where it becomes a part of the fabric of your life. If you get up every morning and write a card or a note or a letter, if you do it on every Saturday, if you do it once a month, it has to fit into the fabric of your life. I think any kind of routine where there's going to be a handwritten letter, note, or card is going to be successful.
Tell your story of why you got into letter writing and the incredible story you have.
Yeah, and you know, I like to frame it, and I was just minding my own business because I was a freelance writer, sports journalist. I'd written one book, and I was on Facebook one day, and I thought about a friend I'd worked at a summer camp in Texas, 30 years ago. I was like, oh, I wonder what happened to Dana. She had this huge personality, and I do. We were loud and thought we were funny. So I type her name in Facebook, and she pops up. Just like everybody else, I was like, oh, I'll friend her because it doesn't mean anything. So her name was Dana. We become Facebook friends. I immediately look through her profile. I do my stalking that's required by law. And so I look at her page, and this girl is overachieved in kids. She has 5 children, 4 girls and 1 son. The son is the youngest. His name is Parker. And immediately I find out this kid is at St. Jude in Memphis, Tennessee, fighting against cancer. When they're at St. Jude, it's probably a fight for his life. So as a human being, as a mom, as a person, I got involved in the story and I started watching from the background. I never liked or commented or anything, but I followed this precious family's story, and this fellow mom watched, along, kind of felt like I was overfeeling it, but I never got involved other than watching, praying, whatever. And so a year passes. He goes into remission. Parker does. They go back to Louisiana. Kind of goes back on a back burner in my consciousness. And later in 2015, he relapses, and Dana gets online and says, "We're going back to St. Jude." And I'm like, wow, man, that's got to be just horrible. And so I sit down at my desk, Steve, and like a thunderbolt out of the sky hits me. I was like, you know what I'm going to start doing? And it wasn't just an idea. It was like a just gut instinct, adrenaline. I was like, I'm going to start writing her letters at the Ronald McDonald House in Memphis. And I had never written anybody. I hadn't written anybody a letter in decades. I was like everybody else. I'd written growing up at summer camp and college and all those things like we did. So I wasn't a letter writer at the time. And I hadn't talked to this woman in 30 years. I'd never met her son. But the next day I get a card and I start writing, "Dear Dana, dear Parker." And I start writing them letters once a week. Once a week, I'm writing these two strangers. And I realized this was a little off, probably, like I was going a little bit too far, but I just couldn't stop myself. And I wrote Dana and Parker for probably 8 to 10 weeks. I didn't hear back from them at all. And then I go online one Sunday after church, and there's this long paragraph post from Dana, and Parker at only 15 has passed away. Devastating. And there's no words for that. And it had nothing to do with me. But I sat down and I was like, boy, well, what am I supposed to do? Because I felt so called to this whole letter writing thing. So I sent a condolence card. About a week later, I was like, it was like another thunderbolt, but a smaller one. I was like, you know what I'm going to do? And I realized it was crazy. I'm just going to keep writing her. Only this time, since it was a Facebook friend, like, where does she even live in Louisiana? So I got to figure that out. I kind of stalked some more. I found her husband's office address. And crazily, I just started writing her again once a week. I had a writing schedule. And so I write her every Sunday and mail it on Monday. And this went on for 4 months, me the whole time saying, what are you even doing? I'd be like, I'm praying for you. I'm thinking of you. And the whole time I'm thinking, this woman has lost her son. I am a stranger, but I could not stop myself. It was just, I couldn't stop. And 4 months in, I go to my mailbox. I pull out a 10-page letter from Dana. She had written me back. And she had told me about her grief and her situation and about her kids and about what was going on. And this kicks off, Steve, 2 years of me and this woman writing each other letters. We don't call, we don't text. I don't have her email address. It was the most sacred space. And it was profoundly moving because I didn't know what she was reading, what I wrote. I had no idea when she was reading my stuff. She opened up about her grief. I looked at my life from the outside in. We developed this amazing trust. And the most beautiful thing was I had no idea whether she was a Democrat or Republican. I knew that she had asked for prayers, so I figured she had some kind of religious component to her life. But who knew if she was a Baptist or a Methodist or a Buddhist? Or I had no idea. And nor did I care. All I cared is about this was somebody who I was connected to in this very intimate way that I was going to share with. And I'll tell you what, about 8 months into that, of this two-way exchange, I sat back and I said, wow, if my life can be blown up by this one random girl from Louisiana who I don't even really know, what else is on this list of people's names on Facebook? So then I went next level. I went all world mezzo, and I put everyone's name in a spreadsheet and I printed it out. I put everybody's name in little slits of paper. I shoved them all to a box. I bought stationery with my name on it, your Facebook friend. And I start pulling these names out every day. And I journal this thing, not ever thinking I'm going to finish writing all these people letters. But in 18 months, Steve, I wrote 580 handwritten letters to people who I knew. And it's so relatable because we all have this list of friends, to people I knew from 6th grade who I danced at a wedding with, my cousin's friend. I wrote all these letters, and it blew up my life and my perspective. And now I'm just a girl who wants to talk about letter writing.
An amazing story. One movement of working with this lady Dana has led to this spurring off your career completely. This is completely off your career, right? It wasn't your career path.
No, never. And I had written the one book, never intended to write a book about Dana and the letters, but I got about 3/4 through writing the letters, and I understood that I had something special, that I had been given this story. And yes, to sell books, and yes, but more than anything, this story of hope and the power we have as human beings to connect to each other in a meaningful way. And this story can be pivoted in so many different ways to fit so many different discussions and conversations.
Absolutely. And you broke a record. I thought I knew every way we can serve people in audience. As I talk about, you don't know how to serve, write a letter to somebody. What you did is a servant's heart. in a unique way. You just blow me away because I'm going to use that. I'm going to share with people because I get all the time. How do I serve? Write a letter to somebody. So powerful. Talk about Amy Daughters, your program and what it's all about.
Well, my program was, writing about sports and, a freelance writer. But I think now, I think I like to think of myself as the spreader of hope, because we have this opportunity with one another to spread hope for 66 cents in about 15 minutes of our time. And I think that's what I'm about now. And the great thing is, though it is a very personal thing that can be done within the confines of a personal relationship, there's also, and I realize this is a business podcast, and the first time I did a couple business podcasts, the first one I did was like a real estate, and I was like, how do I fit in here? And I realized that this is a tool, and it is a tool that we can use because business is relationally based, just like anything else in life. And it is a tool to show you can go upwards in an organization, downwards, you can go sideways, customer facing. It can build relationships, build referrals, because it is the most sincere form of communication, of appreciation, of support, of congratulations, of I see you, of all those things. So it can be used in the personal confine, in the business confine. So I think I'm about spreading this message because I think all it does is bring us together instead of tear us apart.
No, absolutely. And I even think if you don't have time to write it, but all your clients, I know there's programs out there that you can send a postcard. I do that for my podcast is, here, thank you for being on. You're such a blessing. The unique delivery of this,
right?
We don't get in the mail, right?
Right. And I tell people all the time, and that's the other thing, the story's overwhelming. There's 600 letters. They were 2 pages. That has nothing to do with the function of letter writing. It can be a sticky note with 6 sentences on it, 2 sentences. Like you said, you're such a blessing. Thank you. Congratulations. You knocked it out of the park yesterday. I'm just sitting here thinking about the time you helped me 2 years ago, and happy birthday. It can be done in 2 sentences, once a week, once a month, and I guarantee you'll create this moment at a mailbox, at an inbox that you cannot believe. And I know this because I did it 600 times. Because people are going to hold that, they're going to hold it in their hands, and what they're going to realize is Steve took the time to sit down. He had to find a pen, he had to find paper, wait where are the stamps, and then Steve had to get in his minivan and drive to the post box and drop that in. And somebody's going to hold whatever it is you sent in their hand, and here's what they're going to think: oh my God, I matter to another human being. And I tell you what, you are going to blow up their heart, and you never knew you could do it, because I went into this whole thing so non-intentionally, and I did not realize the power we all have in our hands to do this, because we live in this world where we're pretty sure we've isolated ourselves, not because we wanted to, but because I think that's kind of what social media, which is such a great jump off point for relationships, but that's what it does. But we have this power. The number one thing people said to me after all these letters was, the number one takeaway was, I'm going to save your letter, somewhere in my house for the rest of my life.
No, it's powerful. My best friend, Mike, shout out to Mike, who spoke at my dad's funeral. I still have the letter he wrote, the speech he did. He gave me the letter. And you're right. It's like a picture, but just words. It's powerful what you're doing. But was there any negative takeaways of doing all this?
Oh, absolutely. I didn't have any really negative interactions, and that leads to my theory that there's really no wrong way to write a letter. Because if and people ask all the time, so what do you say? Well, I think it's really easy, because just by nature, what are you even going to say to somebody from junior high school? Well, the first thing I would do was go look at their Facebook profile. And then all of a sudden I'd be like, let's say you and I had we're junior high school band together. Well, I go look at your profile, but like, oh my God, look at Steve's podcast. Look at this, doing business with a servant's heart. So the first thing I'm going to do is like, Steve, I'm proud of you, man. We played, you were playing the clarinet and I was playing the flute. We were, but look at you. And so that'd be the second. And then the second thing I would do, I'd be like, Steve, remember when, what's his name picked on me and was mean to me, at the lunch table by the vending machine. And you were like, hey, you're going to be fine. You're awesome. You're amazing, Amy, and I could tell you, then I get a chance to thank you and say, I the rest of my life, I've thought about that. That's really had meaning to me. So, it's really easy if you look at who somebody really is, you consider their real life and then consider who they are to you. to know what to put in 3 lines in a letter. It becomes pretty simple, but and so that's why by and large it was positive, not because I'm a great writer. It was just all done naturally, kind of organically. But I think the negative part for me was, if you think about this, I opened the door to 580 human beings and said, I'm your friend and you mean something to me. Well, there's no way in the world I could have kept up with that. And there was a lot of interactions. People really opened up to me, and I felt guilty because I could not keep up as a real friend should with all those relationships. I can dip in and dip out, but and I never believed a million years I would have felt guilty, but I still feel guilty about not being able to keep that door open with all of those people.
So what I'm hearing too is don't overthink this. Write your letter when it first comes to your head. Hey, thanks for playing football with me. You were a great teammate, Steve.
Right.
As simple as that, right?
As simple as that. And don't overthink it is just tremendous advice, because I think that it puts you in a vulnerable position writing a letter, writing a handwritten note. It does, because and I did this over and over. And I'd sit over a letter and be like, oh my God. And I'd write my journal. I cannot believe I'm going to write Miss Atwood from 4th grade. I've lost my mind over and over again. I just could not believe what it meant to people. And it just has to be a product of who you are. And that's good enough. That's what people want. That's what the authenticity. And then people talk about their handwriting and their misspelling all the time. Guys, that's even better, because you can't filter it. You can't fix it. You're human, and you're letting somebody else know with your humanness, hey, it's okay to be just the way you are. And I cannot tell you, when you start dropping letters into blue boxes or notes or one sentence in a Target card, it will change your life more than it will change your recipients' lives.
Yeah, I just thinking when you start your podcast, USPS needs to be your sponsor, because you're bringing them a lot of blue boxes full of letters. I love it.
Well, they did the article on me. That was probably my favorite media hit. The Postal Service, their employee, like, they have this huge newsletter that goes out to everybody. So the people in Washington called and interviewed me, and I'm after all of this, I'm a huge supporter of the post office, and I got so many neat messages from mail carriers. And I'll tell you what, Steve, it just made my entire life, because those people, and I got to tell them, you're delivering the hope. Y'all are the deliverers of the hope.
Yeah, it's such a powerful message. When writing a letter, is there a time frame that you felt was best? Once a week, like you were doing with Dana, once a month, or is that just individual?
Yeah, I think it's got to fit into, the fabric of your life. I will say, for me, I still get up every morning. When I sit down at my desk, the first thing I do is write somebody a note, because to me, I can't stop doing it now, because it reminds me every day that I can do something positive before I start my day. I can make an impact on this divisive world that we live in. And it honors the story of Dana and Parker. It honors my experience and what I know to be, something good that I can do. But I think if you can fit it, it's like exercise. If you could find a way to fit it into the fabric of your life, it will transform you in a way. Even in the context of a business, because I use it for that too in my writing. I use it to thank people, like you said, but it will transform the way you feel about yourself and your day. So if you could get up every morning, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then allow yourself to be 2 sentences, or if you need 3 pages, that's fine. Allow to do it in the confines of what works for you.
Well, I think for business, there's a lot of plays here. Like right off the bat, once a month, you have a team write a letter to all your clients. Yeah, if you have 10,000 clients, this might not be feasible. You got 20, 30, 50 clients, spend 30 minutes a day writing letters to your clients. Thank you for being a great client. We're here to support you. Reach out, something like that. When they get in the mail, it's so different.
Oh yeah, they're going to be like, can you imagine this guy? He took the time. That's how much I mean to them as a customer. And that's why, and I've seen this a lot because I've worked with a lot of organizations, but telling your employees, telling your coworkers, telling people you work with in another company, it just it strengthens the relationship. And you talk about things like retention. You talk retention in an organization. This is a tool that you can use that doesn't cost you anything to other than your time, and sincerity. It's better than an evaluation. It's better than it just has so many, and it does not, again, it can be done in 1 sentence, one and done. You're out, and
Yeah.
people will put that on. And that's what people have told me. It's sitting on their desk. They have it sitting out on their desk. They have it attached to their, their bulletin board. That's how much it means. They will take it with them when they leave, and they may not leave because they feel invested because of what you said to them.
Intentional is off the chart. I can see CEOs writing notes, piece of paper. Hey, thank you for being a great employee. I mean, there's so many plays business wise to do this without affecting the process of the company or the time needed, because it could just be simple notes. Man, this is really cool.
And it fits into your narrative, Steve, so well, because
Yeah.
it's combining, something professional, organizational, business with, and it is a servant's heart. Taking that time to do that. I'm not speaking to myself. I'm speaking to the art of note writing or letter writing as a bigger picture. It is an act of service, and it's done for the person who you're giving it to. It's just the plot twist is you're the one who gets to be the most changed, the one who wrote it.
No, and you can do it with an email, and that's good. But this is just another step. And I always tell people bring more value bring value and just bring a little bit more. And this is that little bit more. Instead of sending an email, I'm going to write a letter to somebody or this person or whatever it may be. And, the nice thing is, try it. It costs you 66 cents. See what happens. Just write one person. See what happens.
Right. That's exactly.
Talk about your book. You're so excited about your book, and I love that you're excited.
Right. Yeah. It's called Dear Dana. That time I went crazy and wrote all 580 of my Facebook friends a handwritten letter, which is also the longest subtitle, Steve, in publishing history, I think. But we're proud that it made it through the publishing people. And it basically tells the story. It starts with Dana and I, tells that story of us reconnecting. It's got her words in there, my words in there. And then about halfway through it twists to where I decide to write the Facebook letters. And then it takes 52 really short lessons I learned from writing the 580 letters. And, it uses the letters and just takeaways, boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Here's what I learned. And it's, I wrote it. I'm proud of it because it's a story that happened to me. But I think, the highest compliment I got was from Dana herself. And she said, you won't read it and not walk away wanting to be a better person. And that's the highest praise. So
the audience, she's a servant's heart. What she just said, she's done, you can do, make a change in your life. We're coming to the end here. You speak around, what do you speak about when you speak around the country?
I speak about letter writing. I speak about divisiveness and utilizing letter writing to reconnect with people and to look past the divide and the differences. Kind of that lesson I learned from Dana that I learned over and over again from people. Like, it matters what we believe, it matters how we voted, it matters where we stand. But when you reach out to somebody with nothing but goodwill on the line and they reply in kind, then suddenly all those things that separate us, though they still remain, they start to dissipate. And so that's what I speak about. I do workshops where we actually write letters, but that's basically what I speak about. And as you said earlier in the call, who would have ever thought that the girl who was doing something else 3 years ago now cannot shut up about letter writing? And I had written a letter in 30 years. So
yeah, the other lesson that you're teaching so well, Amy, is take action. If you never took action, had doubt, you sent that first letter and it just led to this. That leads across people's lives and business. Just take action. Worst thing is you pivot, and if it didn't work, you wouldn't be talking today, but you would have found something else. So, audience, that's the greatest lesson. Take action and look what happened. Powerful things can happen. I love ending the show with this question to learn more about Amy and what you're all about. So we have a restaurant. There's a table of 4. You occupy one seat. Who would sit in the other 3 seats, dead or alive, and why? But I think the most important question is, what food would you order for that table?
Oh, wow. What a great question. I would have at my table, I would have Parker, who passed away, who I'd never met in person. And I would have him sitting there for sure. And then I believe I would have my father, who was also no longer with us and missed both of my books and all of the stories. And then the 4th person would be difficult. But I think I would have, I'm a history person, so I'm going to have somebody from history called back up. I think I would have Abraham Lincoln. It's kind of an interesting mix with that group, though.
Yeah. Lincoln's a lead, Jesus and Lincoln are the leader of the pack. It's
Yeah,
funny. People love, and I do love Lincoln too.
yeah.
Well, what food are we ordering? What are we eating?
I think we're going to have. Mm, I'd almost want to get Lincoln pizza, because he probably hadn't had that before, or chicken wings, you know.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to go with. I think I would go with fajitas.
Oh, very
Beef
good.
fajitas from a place in Houston called Lupe Tortilla, which is the finest beef known to man. And because I would treat them, because I would feel like that's the best food I could offer.
Oh, that's fantastic. So how can people reach out to you?
My website is amydaughters.com. My email address is there. My mailing address is there. My story's there. I love to hear from people about letter writing, about connecting, about sports, about whatever. But I'd love to to connect with any of your audience members. If you write me, I will write you back. I would love that. If that could be your first letter, if anybody wants to reach out to me. But all things amydaughters.com.
That's fantastic. You're a true blessing. This has been an incredible show. You've really, it's just amazing how these things pop up out of the blue, you know, just writing that one layer, look what's happening. So there's always hope for you people out there in the audience, faith and hope. There's so much there. And you brought it in tenfold today, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Steve. It's an honor to be on your podcast, and I really respect all the work you're doing, all the good you're pumping out into the world, and to be a small part of that, it's an honor. So very humbling. Thank you.
Oh, that's so appreciated. Don't forget about my TV show, Together We Serve, every Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. You get on Apple TV, Roku. Get this big mug on your 70-inch screen, but you'll look at the guests more in my big mug. It takes the podcast to another level. And I got a secret. I'm going to invite Amy to the TV show. She doesn't know that yet, but we're going to have her as a guest because this has got to get out to the world and more people. And Amy and me want to thank you so much for watching and listening to this podcast. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Thank you.